Hi everyone, my name is Flavia Beswick. For those of you who are new to the Kingdom Creatives podcast, and with me we have Nataki Lendor. Got it right?
Yeah, yes.
Awesome. And she's going to be sharing with us, as you know, Kingdom Creatives podcast is a safe space for fellow Christian creatives, and I really do hope this session blesses you. And yeah, stay tuned. We have wonderful stuff for you. Thank you so much for being a part of this discussion. I know it's the first time we are having an actual sit down, even though it's not in person, but I'm excited for where this is going to go.
Me too. It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome, thank you. And so tell us, the regular question. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Nataki Lendor. I'm a worship leader and recording artist from Trinidad and Tobago. Shout out to all the Trinis and shout out to y'all. Yeah, I've been worship leading for about 15 years now. But I've been singing for a lot longer. I just had a birthday on April 1st. So that was fun. My second COVID birthday, so I wasn't able to celebrate like I usually do. But we making do with what we have.
Definitely.
Yeah. I love Jesus. And anything else I guess you could ask. I have a really difficult time talking about myself.
Oh, don't worry, I'm there with you.
Yeah. So I generally answer questions that people have.
I get you. All right. Well, that gives you all a little background. All right. Well, that gives Trinidad a little background about her. So she's from Trinidad, and she's been a worship leader for quite some time now. And competition that you entered. So tell us about that competition that you entered. I realized in you talked about the competition that you had gotten first place in.
Challenge. I won season 4. What happened is Sean Gardner, who's the executive producer, he produced this competition. He did it 3 times before, I think. He did it in St. Kitts at a point. I can't remember the other islands he did it on.
Yeah.
But it was the first time he did it in Trinidad. And it was season 4. So I don't know, the whole story of that was very interesting because I was at a point where I kind of just gave up on music. And one of my old music teachers sent me the flyer for the auditions. And I just had like about a week or so to send in an audition tape. And the day I was going to record my video, I was also in another competition at the time. The day I was going to record my video, I got sick. I listened back to that audition video and I could hear like how hoarse my voice was and stuff like that. But I did it and I prayed over it. I was like, God, I'm doing this by faith. You know I'm not 100%, but however you want this to go, it will go. And so I sent it in. I sent it and I even forgot as I sent it. Until I got a call from this number, a foreign number, saying, Nataki, thank you for entering, and we just want to say congratulations, you made it into the finals. And I was like, what? It really was, because I really was at a point where I was like, nah, I don't want to do this anymore. I feel like I've been giving, and maybe it's not for me. Maybe I'm chasing after something that's not mine. And so I kind of just put it away. And then it so happened that the competition's winnings were an EP, money, and being managed by a management company in Trinidad, Glow Entertainment. And based on that, I was like, okay, maybe I should try. And as the competition progressed, I realized, well, okay, I'm not getting kicked out. So I guess we go in until we made it to top 10, and the final night was really something special. I'm so grateful for that experience. So it's based on that I've been able to like release music and be I've had access to industry professionals and producers and stuff like that who now help me along this journey. So yeah, it was nerve wracking. It was exciting. It was all the things that come with a competition. But I had also kind of made up in my mind. I told God that if He got me in it, then it's all about Him. Definitely. So every song that I chose, every step of the way, I did it as honor unto God, and I was like, God, if this is where you want me, if this is where we go in, then so be it. If it's not, then also so be it. But through every step, I will give you glory. And that was my mindset through the entire thing. And I guess God wanted me to win. So I'm here now.
That's really great. That's really great. I feel like God has weird ways of reassuring us of what He has called us to do.
Yes.
Especially
in times of
so let's go a little further. So for those of you who have been listening to the podcast, you know that last week we were talking about 5 steps to, get yourself motivated or to remotivate yourself. So to you now, Nataki, have you ever been in a situation where, as a creative, and I say creative because I'm assuming that you write your music as well, right?
I do.
Yeah. So, as a creative, have you ever been in a space where you don't want to write anything? You're fed up. I'm done. Well, I know you spoke about, you were in a place before the competition not wanting to do anything, but have there ever been other instances where you just, maybe this is not for me, and I think, God, you probably made a mistake?
Yeah, I've had that a lot. Like through my life, I've had a lot of chances to work with producers and musicians and industry professionals and stuff like that, and it was always like, okay, maybe this is the time they're going to hear me sing, and then they're going to be like, whoa, and then they're going to pull me out, and it's going to be like, but over and over again it never happened. And of course it leads to disappointment. I think scripture says something about disappointment making the heart sad, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry for abusing the Bible, but yeah, it really, I've had many instances where my heart was really broken, and one really, really big one was I had the privilege of studying at ORU, Oral Roberts University. I went on faith, because if we don't have time for me to go through that whole story to how I even ended up being accepted to the school. But the fact is I was accepted. I had no money. I had no nothing. I had like a partial scholarship. And I was like, okay, God, you and I are going. And so, I was privileged enough to make it through a year of school, and then I wasn't able to continue because I didn't have the money to. And I came back broken. Because I'm like, God, how could you take me from my good house, my good home? I was good. I had a stable-ish job. I was comfortable, and then you take me out of this to go to a foreign land where I know nobody. But then that also caused me to forge a lot of really cool friendships and a lot of cool relationships. So in hindsight, it looks differently. But when I came back, I was so broken. I couldn't sing. I couldn't anything. I went back to church. And my pastor's like, "You're ready to start worshiping again?" And I was like, "No, wants nothing to do with it." And even when I did start worship leading again, I would only go to church when I have to worship lead. Like I was really, really broken. And I had a lot of questions. It's like, God, why? Like, what was the point of that? Why embarrass me like that? Why? Like, what was the point? I remember going to Barbados for a friend's wedding with one of my really good friends. We sat down by, I can't even remember what ocean or what body of water, but we literally sat down there on a boardwalk like thing and we cried. Because she was going through some stuff at the time, and then I was going through some stuff, and we sit down there and we like cry. It's like, God, why we have to go through all of this, you know? And that was April of 2017. And so I wasn't working at the time. So that was April of 2017. By June 2017, I had a job. And then at the end of 2017, God had me doing things like getting involved in little musical things here and there. So, you know, I wasn't feeling like dry and empty, and my creativity was, you know, crawling out of me. And then at the top of 2018, I entered Trinidad and Tobago Music Festival. So then I was doing more singing things, and then by the time that competition ended, Emerge started. So, you know, it was like that night on the boardwalk when we were crying our eyes out, like God was there and he was listening, and he was saying, children, if y'all only know what I have planned down the line, you know. So I think what really helped me stay course is my relationship with God. Because even in the midst of being hurt and disappointed and irritated, just the fact that God was so faithful. Like he stayed even when I didn't want to talk to him. Every morning he would come and like knock on the door of my house, like, ready for me today? And if I said no, he's like, okay, he gonna come back tomorrow. So like when I speak of, when I sing of God's faithfulness, it really is something that's dear to me, because I know that he is a friend that sticks closer than a brother.
Come on, no.
Is someone, you know, he is there, and like he is always there.
Always.
And so, you know, I believe honestly that I got to the point where I was able to do music again because of my relationship with him. I had to get to a point where I was like, God, if this is not what you want for me, then I'm okay too. But we'll figure it out together. We're walking together.
That's a bold move, though.
You know, it hurt. And at the point, it did hurt to say it. It did hurt to be like, I will give up my heart's desire to follow you and whatever you have, because I know that whatever you have for me is better than anything I could come up with myself. And so it's only after I got to that point that doors just started opening for me, man. And I, beyond shadow of a doubt, know that it is God, because things line up so well that it couldn't just be random, and it couldn't just be man, and it couldn't be that, you know, I just manifesting good things. Like it really had to be the hand of God in my life orchestrating every step. And so that is what would have pulled me out of the hurt and the brokenness, and you know, out of my creative slump. I should say. You know, but that was like a big one that always resonates with me.
I love that, and I love the I don't know if deliberateness. Deliberateness is not a word, but I think that's the best thing I can say right now.
Yeah.
I love how deliberate you were about, you know, going forward after everything would have played out. I know it's like sometimes we see the hand of God, but it's like, I know it's just a coincidence, as you say. You know, we don't actively realize that, you know, God is really looking out for us sometimes.
And something really cool to note is like in that period where I was just seeing things working out for me one after the other, I went to a Bible study at my church, and the woman conducting Bible study said something so profound, and she said, in the Bible there is no Greek or Hebrew word for coincidence. So coincidence really it's a made up thing that we have created. So really and truly, everything that we go through
That's part of God's
divinely
plan.
orchestrated by God. And that kind of gave me like the unction to be like, okay, definitely not coincidence. This is really God. And to ascribe the glory to Him. Yeah, please do.
I'm going to use that because, wow. I didn't know that was, I didn't know.
It was very eye-opening for me.
Wow, I just learned something a while ago.
So there really is no such thing as coincidence.
That's awesome. And then, you know, that kind of puts perspective on a lot of things that we go through.
Yeah.
And I'm there with, like, I love the stories that you're coming with. Like, I love your experiences. So is it fair to say that your well, I guess it's kind of a redundant question, but how has your relationship with God affected your creativity in terms of how you write? Like, what is the inspiration behind it? Were you always writing gospel music? Or, you know, was it coming from a different place and then God was like, hey, hold up, I gave you this talent?
I've actually absolutely never written anything outside of gospel. I grew up in church. I'm a church baby, born and bred. So it's I could only write what I know, and that's what I know.
Yeah.
So my parents also grew me up on like R&B, and you know, there are some 90s R&B stuff and some 80s R&B stuff that I really love. I don't know, I could never bring myself to write a song that's not talking about Jesus. I have never had the ability to just write without inspiration. So I would never be able to sit down and be like, okay, Nataki, today you're writing a song. Like, that's not how it works to me. So if you look at my phone right now, it just got a set of voice notes of little melody lines that I would hear randomly. And then eventually, sometimes it's a week, sometimes it's a couple months, sometimes it's a year or two. But eventually, I believe God leads me to finish it. So this last song that I released, Good, is actually the first song that I released that I've written. That song, I was listening to the radio at some time, and literally, Jehovah God, you're good. Baba, oh, you're good. That came to me, and I was like, oh, that sounds good. Pick up my phone and record it.
I love that song, by the way.
Thank you.
Guys, you have to listen to it.
Right? Thank you so much. But like, it stayed on my phone for almost a year and a half. Like, I did nothing with it. And then during the first lockdown, during our first lockdown period, which was like early March of last year, I was just reminiscing on what it's going to be like to go back to church, because they had closed down church and stuff like that. So I was just reminiscing on what it would be like, that first church service back, when people would be so grateful for life and health and strength, and just grateful to be back with the saints gathered again. And I was like, yo, church gonna be so fire. And I just wanted to write a song that would reflect how we felt just being back in that space. And that's how I was able to finish write the song. But it always comes from something from before. Like, it would never be, I'd never sit down and be like, oh, I'm melody line today. Never. I would always have to get something to work with. And I believe all those things are God inspired, because leave it up to me, I would sit down and watch Netflix whole day. You understand? Like, honestly. So I have to believe that all this stuff comes from God. Like I said, no coincidence, no nothing. Every talent, every gift that I have definitely comes from God.
So true. I love that. Guys, again, you need to listen to the song. It's fire.
Thank you so much.
Oh, real quick before we go any further, feel free to just let them know where they can find your music.
Oh,
and
sure.
where you are on social media.
My music is on all streaming platforms. Just look for Nataki Lendor, Apple Music, Amazon, wherever you stream music. Also on YouTube. Everything is on YouTube, duh. But you can find me on YouTube as Nataki Lendor, and on all my social media handles at ITSNATAKIL on Instagram, on Facebook. So at it's Nataki L on all those platforms. That's where you find me.
All right. So another question. What are some things that you do to stay motivated? Because it's one thing to get out of a writer's block or get out of a demotivated state. It's another thing to stay in that space.
Yeah, it is.
So, what are some things that you do to keep yourself in the zone, in the pocket?
I think there are two major things. I understand that God has called me to this, and it's my main focus is to be a good steward of what He gave me, be a good steward of the giftings that He's given me. So it doesn't matter if I feel like it or not, because I understand that this is not about me. And it's all for the glory of God. It's all for building the kingdom. Then that would get you up pretty quick. pretty quick. And a second major thing is just hearing testimonies of people who have listened to the music or look at my content and be like, I was really encouraged by this Nataki, or God really used you, or God really, I feel really blessed by this. Like, those things motivate me, because then I know I'm accomplishing what God has called me to, and that is more important than anything else ever. Accomplishing purpose is the main goal. And so once those two things are there, even if I don't hear people's testimonies, once I am sure that God is in it and this is where God is leading me, then I have to stay motivated. I keep going. I only stop when I'm not sure which direction God wants me to go. But other than that, Jesus and
I get you. So, quick question. What's your favorite Bible character?
My favorite Bible character? Ooh, do I have one of those? I mean, I love David, but I think that's the worship leader in me. The guy, I really, really love David. I think his life is such an example of the grace of God and the faithfulness of God. I think he's also, I believe that the Bible is just, it is a book of characters that God shows us how even in our imperfection, He could still use us. It reflects that over and over and over again, and it's really reflected in David's life. I mean, David really played the fool sometimes, but God always called him back, and he always came back. And he always recognized, like, I'm a mess, and run back to God. And I feel like that's like a perfect example for people who don't feel they're good enough, and for people who believe that they're too far gone. Like, David's life really, really would bring you back down. Run to the Father. Run to the Father. Run to the Father. So that's why I really love David.
I get you. And when I had a question a while ago, I need to flip me.
I'm sorry. I talk plenty.
No, it's not that. Like, Zoom had a notification a while ago.
I saw it.
It went out. But I love David as well. He has always humbled himself before God and accepted that, hey, as you say, I'm a mess and I need you to help me through this. So for somebody who's listening right now, who maybe they're conflicted about going after that thing that they know that God has called them into, as a creative, even if it's not something major, but they know that they're definitely called to it, what advice would you give them?
I think one of the things that really prevents creatives from getting involved is that they believe there is no room for them. And for me, that's a big deal. Like I am all about people really living in purpose and living in what God has called you to. And so sometimes we look at the circumstances around us and feel like, the market is oversaturated, or there may not be a space for me. But I believe beyond a shadow of a doubt that if God has called you to it, there is room for you. There is a space for you. If God gives you one song in your entire life, guess what? It's not for you. Somebody's going to hear it. Even if not today or tomorrow or 10 years from now, maybe 20 years from now, somebody's going to go in the archives and be blessed by whatever you have to offer. And so go unashamed, go boldly, and know that there is room for you. Always. Once God has called you to it, there is a space for you.
I love that. And before we close off, sorry, I just saw something fly across the screen.
Okay.
So before we close off, do you have any upcoming projects that you'd like to share with the listeners to tell them to look out for? Are there any events that are coming up? Do you have anything in the pipeline that you want to just let everybody know about?
Girl, we in a whole panoramic in Trinidad. Panoramic won't let people live. Oh my gosh, it's so difficult. So like I have a couple things planned. Like last year I did Him, I and Friends, which was a concert of just hymns, which, oh my gosh, I absolutely love. I grew up in the Church of the Nazarene, and all you Nazarenes out there know that we love hymns, right? And so because I grew up on that, I really wanted to honor that part of how I grew up. And then, of course, the just rich theology of a good hymn is always beautiful. So I did one last year, and I really wanted to do one this year, but the panoramic. So because now, like right now, at the time of us recording this, Trinidad and Tobago is under a state of emergency. So we absolutely can't move around. It's proving a little difficult.
Yeah, I get you.
But I do want to do it later down in the year. So look out for that. Him, I, and Friends 2. It's going to be nice. Just going to celebrate some hymns. I have some music in the pipeline, but at this point, there's this one song that I have that I really want to release, but I really don't want to release it. I listen, the song is so personal for me.
I know what you mean.
Like it's so personal, and I just feel like waiting on the right time to release it now. So I kind of just waiting on God's direction for it. I mean, he might say release it tomorrow, and I just have to go with it, right? But yeah, I have music always. For as long as God gifts me or gives me music, gifts me with the ability to do it, I will have music in the pipeline. But yeah, I really just waiting on God's direction on how to move forward in this time.
Definitely. And so I just want to thank you so much for being our guest.
Thank you for having me. I had so much fun. This is so fun.
And guys, feel free to let us know in the Facebook group if you want her to come back. We'll always bring her back.
Yes.
And I'm definitely going to be sharing some of your songs on the Facebook page and possibly on the Instagram page. So you guys make sure that you find the Facebook group.
Yes.
Creative Podcast.
Find it.
And of course, search her up on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Deezer, wherever you listen to your music.
Yes.
And definitely check out her songs. They're really good. I met her through one of my friends called Charnel, my twinnie from Trini. And definitely wonderful music minister. So guys, check out her music. All right. Thanks so much for joining, and I really hope we can do this again soon.
Of course, it was my pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right. So, thank you all for listening. Again, we continue this weekly, inspiring, educating, entertaining fellow Christian creatives or just creatives who want to be motivated. I really do hope you were blessed by this session, and stay tuned for next week's post. All right, guys. God bless you all. Bye.